I opened my bedroom door and froze. My husband Daniel was pressed against the wall with my sister Serena, both completely naked, their bodies tangled together in the afternoon light streaming through our bedroom window. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Serena's eyes met mine, and instead of shame, she smirked. Daniel's face went from pleasure to panic in a heartbeat. He stumbled backward, grabbing for his discarded shirt. "Lena, wait, this isn't." "But Serena?" She didn't scramble. Didn't apologize. She just leaned against my bedroom wall, completely nude, and whispered loud enough for me to hear, "He chose me, Lena. You were just the placeholder." Something inside my chest shattered. Not my heart, that would hurt. This was deeper. This was the foundation of who I thought I was cracking apart. My husband of 3 years. My sister who I'd raised after our mother died. The 2 people I'd trusted most in the world, destroying me in the room where I slept. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't process that this was real, that this was happening, that my entire life had just become a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Serena smiled wider, sensing my paralysis. And that smile told me everything. This wasn't the first time. I finally found my voice. "How long?" Daniel pulled on his pants, his face flushed. "Lena, let me explain." "How long?" I screamed. That's when Daniel did something I never expected. He pointed at my neck, his expression shifting from guilt to something calculated. "What's that mark on your neck? Have you been cheating on me?" I touched my throat, confused. There was a small red mark, a scratch from when I'd caught my necklace on my scarf that morning. This is from my necklace, you know that." "Oh my God," Serena gasped dramatically, clutching her chest like she'd just witnessed a crime. "Lena, I saw you last night. I saw you sneaking a man out of the house around midnight. I thought I was imagining it, but now." "What?" My voice cracked. "I was home alone last night. You weren't even here." But Daniel's face was transforming. Guilt becoming anger. Shame becoming accusation. He was building a story in real time, using my confusion as fuel. "That explains why you came home early today. You were checking on me because you've been the one cheating." "That's insane." "I came home early because I forgot my presentation files." "You're always so secretive with your phone lately," Daniel continued, his voice gaining confidence. "Always working late." I should have known. I stared at them both, speechless. They were turning this around. Making me the villain. Using my shock and pain against me. "I have proof," Serena announced, pulling out her phone with a triumphant expression. She was still naked, completely shameless, scrolling through videos while my husband stood beside her like they were a team. She turned the screen toward Daniel. "Look. From 3 nights ago." The video showed me, unmistakably me, stumbling drunk into a hotel room. My dress was disheveled, my hair messy. A man's hand was visible guiding me inside, but his face was cut off by the camera angle. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. My stomach dropped. I don't remember this. When was I? 3 nights ago, Serena repeated coldly. "The night you said you were working late at the office. The night I was worried because you didn't answer your phone. I was at the office. I fell asleep at my desk." But even as I said it, doubt crept in. I remembered feeling strangely exhausted that night. Remembered my coffee tasting odd. Remembered gaps in my memory I'd attributed to stress and exhaustion. Daniel looked at me with disgust. Complete, utter disgust. "Our marriage is over, Lena. You're not who I thought you were." "No, Daniel, please, something's wrong with that video." I want a divorce, he said flatly. You can stay with your parents. I want you out by tomorrow. Serena wrapped a sheet around herself, victorious. And I realized with creeping horror that this had been planned. The video, the accusations, catching me off guard, all of it orchestrated. That night, the same night I discovered my husband's betrayal, Daniel and Serena threw an engagement party. At our house. The house Daniel and I had bought together 2 years ago. I'd packed a bag and was preparing to leave when guests started arriving. Serena had changed into a beautiful white dress, my dress, from my own closet, and was greeting people at the door like she owned the place. Lena, my aunt called out, confused. What's happening? Serena said there's an announcement. I stood in the hallway, my suitcase at my feet, watching the surreal nightmare unfold. Friends, family, Daniel's colleagues, all gathering in my living room while Serena played hostess and Daniel stood beside her like they were already married. Then Daniel called for attention. Everyone, thank you for coming on such short notice. Serena and I have wonderful news to share. We're engaged. The room erupted in confused chatter. My aunt's face went pale. But Serena just smiled and held up her hand, showing off a ring. My engagement ring. The one Daniel had given me 3 years ago. People stared at me. Whispered. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked judgmental, like they already believed whatever story Serena and Daniel had prepared. I stood frozen, destroyed and completely alone in a room full of people who should have been on my side. Until I felt someone watching me. Intense. Focused. I turned and met the gaze of a stranger across the room. He was tall, probably early 30s, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to see straight through me. He wore an expensive suit that screamed wealth and power. And he was staring at me like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. As Serena and Daniel accepted congratulations, the stranger moved through the crowd directly toward me. People actually stepped aside for him, like his presence commanded automatic respect. He stopped in front of me and said my full name. Elena. Not Lena. Elena. The name only my mother had used. How do you, my voice cracked. Come with me, he said simply, extending his hand. His tone wasn't a request. It was a command, but somehow gentle at the same time. I don't know you. Yes, you do. You just don't remember yet. His eyes flicked to Serena, then back to me. But if you stay here, they'll destroy what's left of you. So come with me now, or stay and watch them celebrate your suffering. Serena noticed us and her face went white. She whispered something to Daniel, who immediately started pushing through the crowd toward us. The stranger didn't move. Just kept his hand extended, waiting for my decision. Who are you? I whispered. Adrian Wolfe, he replied. And you're coming with me, Elena. He said my name like a prayer. Like a promise. Like he'd been saying it in his mind for years. I took Adrian's hand, and he immediately guided me toward the door. Daniel called out, Lena, where are you going? You can't just leave. Watch me, I said, surprised by the strength in my voice. Adrian's car was waiting outside, a sleek black vehicle that probably cost more than my annual salary. His driver opened the door without a word, and I climbed in, feeling like I was in a dream. Inside the car, Adrian sat beside me in silence for a moment, studying my face. Then he noticed my necklace, the one my mother had left me. The chain was broken from earlier, the pendant hanging at an odd angle. His entire expression changed. Where did you get that? My mother left it to me when she died. I touched the pendant protectively. Why? Adrian's jaw tightened. May I see it? I unclasped the necklace and handed it to him. He turned it over, examining a tiny engraving on the back that I'd never been able to read clearly. His face went completely still. "This wasn't meant for your sister," he said quietly. "It was meant for you. Only you." "I don't understand." "Your mother knew my family. This pendant was a promise. A protection." He looked at me with something intense and possessive in his eyes. "Serena should never have come near you. And now she's crossed a line she can't uncross." The next day, Adrian took me to a luncheon where Serena and Daniel would be celebrating their engagement with Daniel's business partners. I didn't want to go, but Adrian insisted. "Trust me," was all he said. Serena was holding court at the center of the room, showing off her designer jewelry and expensive clothes, all fake, I realized now. All purchased to compete with me, to prove she was worthy of stealing my husband. Adrian waited until the room was completely quiet, then walked directly to Serena. He picked up her bracelet, the one she claimed was Cartier, and examined it with a jeweler's loupe he pulled from his pocket. "Interesting," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "The craftsmanship on this counterfeit is actually quite poor. You can see the discoloration here, and the weight is completely wrong." Serena's face went scarlet. You don't know what you're talking about." "I own the Cartier franchise in this city," Adrian replied calmly. "I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a $40 fake." The room erupted in whispers. Daniel's business partners looked horrified. Serena lunged at me, screaming that I was a jinx, that I'd brought this man here to ruin her happiness. Adrian stepped between us, his body a wall of protection. "Touch her again and you'll regret it," he said quietly. Daniel tried to pull Serena back, his face red with embarrassment. But the damage was done. Everyone had seen her exposed as a fraud. We returned to Adrian's penthouse, a space so expensive and beautiful it felt like a museum. I was sitting on his couch, trying to process everything, when his assistant burst through the door. "Mr. Wolf," the assistant said breathlessly, "your investigators confirm it. Someone drugged Miss Elena 3 nights ago and took her to the hotel deliberately. The video was staged." My heart stopped. "What?" Adrian's expression turned deadly cold. "Show me everything." The assistant pulled up security footage from the hotel. It showed Serena dragging my semi-conscious body through the lobby. Showed her propping me against a wall while she filmed the compromising video. Showed her leaving me in a room alone. "The hotel room was registered under my name," Adrian said quietly. "Serena knew I was staying there that night for business. She planned for you to be found in my room, hoping to create a scandal that would destroy both of us." "But why?" "Because," he said, turning to face me, "she knew I'd been in love with you for 3 years. Since the day I saw you at your mother's funeral. She wanted to make sure you'd never trust me if we ever met." The room tilted. "You were at my mother's funeral?" "I was your mother's business partner. She asked me to watch over you after she was gone. I've been doing exactly that." That night at the hotel, Adrian continued, his voice tight with restrained anger, "I found you unconscious in my room. You'd been drugged. I spent the entire night making sure you were safe, that you were breathing properly, that whoever did this didn't come back to hurt you worse." I stared at him, memories flickering at the edges of my consciousness. Gentle hands. A voice telling me I was safe. The smell of expensive cologne. "I was the man in that hotel room," Adrian said. "But I didn't touch you. I protected you. And when you woke up, you didn't remember anything because the drug was still in your system. I called you a car, made sure you got home safely, and I've been tracking you ever since to make sure you were okay. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were married. Because I had no proof yet of what Serena had done. Because I needed to build a case before I could come forward." His hands clenched into fists. But watching her destroy you today. I couldn't wait anymore. Behind us, Daniel's voice rang out. He'd followed us here, somehow gotten past security. Lena, please. You have to listen to me. Serena manipulated me. She showed me that video and I believed. I'm sorry, please, let's start fresh. And then Serena appeared beside him, screaming that I'd seduced Adrian to ruin her engagement, that I was a homewrecker, that everything was my fault. Their chaos fed my growing calm. I said nothing. Just watched them unravel. Adrian didn't even look at them. He just stepped closer to me, his body language protective, possessive. You're coming with me, he said quietly. I won't let them hurt you again. His voice was low, commanding. It sent shivers down my spine, not from fear, but from something else entirely. Something that felt like safety mixed with danger. She's my wife. Daniel shouted. Ex-wife, Adrian corrected without emotion. The divorce papers were filed this morning. My lawyers are very efficient. Serena tried to grab my arm. You can't do this. You're stealing my future husband. Your future husband? Adrian finally turned to look at her, and the contempt in his eyes made her step back. I've never spoken to you. Never looked at you. Never acknowledged your existence. What made you think I was yours to steal? But, the hotel, you were there. I was there conducting business. You drugged your sister and dragged her to my room hoping to create a scandal. Instead, you created evidence of your own crime. He pulled out his phone, showing her the security footage. Attempted poisoning. Kidnapping. Fraud. Should I continue? Serena's face went from red to white in seconds. Daniel tried to speak, but Adrian silenced him with a single look. Leave, Adrian said simply. Or I'll have you both arrested right now. They left. Because when Adrian Wolf spoke, people listened. Adrian's mansion was something out of a fairy tale. Massive stone architecture, sprawling gardens, rooms that seemed to go on forever. I felt completely out of place in my casual clothes and tear-stained face. But what shocked me most was how the staff treated me. Every single person we passed bowed slightly and murmured, Mrs. Wolf. I stopped walking. Why are they calling me that? Adrian's expression didn't change. Because they know what I haven't said aloud yet. Which is? That you're mine. That you've always been mine. That your mother promised you to me before she died, and I've been waiting for the right time to claim what's always belonged to me. I should have been terrified. Should have run. But something in his words felt true, felt right in a way nothing in my marriage ever had. You can't just claim me like I'm property. I'm not claiming you as property, he interrupted, his voice softening. I'm claiming you as mine to protect. Mine to care for. Mine to avenge. There's a difference. And if I don't want to be claimed? He smiled, dangerous and beautiful. Then I'll wait. I've waited 3 years. I can wait longer. But while I'm waiting, I'll destroy everyone who hurt you. That part isn't negotiable. That night, I couldn't sleep. I wandered through Adrian's mansion, overwhelmed and confused. In the library, I found photo albums, pictures of my mother when she was young, smiling beside people I didn't recognize. And there, in several photos, was a young Adrian. He looked maybe 10 years old, standing beside my mother with an expression of complete adoration. She saved my life when I was a child, Adrian's voice said from the doorway. I was kidnapped. She found me and brought me home. My family never forgot that debt. I turned to face him. So this is about debt? About obligation? No. He crossed the room slowly, deliberately. This is about the fact that when I was 12 years old and you were 9, I saw you at your mother's office and just knew, that you were going to be mine someday. Your mother laughed and said I'd have to earn you. So I spent the next 20 years building an empire worthy of you. That's insane. Yes, he agreed. It probably is. But here we are anyway. I didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to process that someone had loved me from afar for years while I was trapped in a marriage that was rotting from the inside. You don't have to feel anything for me yet, Adrian said quietly. But let me protect you. Let me give you justice. Let me show you what real loyalty looks like. The next morning, everything exploded. Serena showed up at Adrian's gates, screaming to be let in. Security held her back while she shrieked about being Adrian's girlfriend, about carrying his baby, about me stealing her life. Adrian walked out to face her, and I followed despite his assistant trying to stop me. Serena shoved an ultrasound image at him, tears streaming down her face. I'm pregnant. With your child. You have to take responsibility. Adrian looked at the ultrasound for exactly 3 seconds. Then he laughed, cold, cruel, devastating. You're lying. It's impossible. No, we were together. I've never touched you. Never been in the same room as you alone. Never spoken to you beyond basic pleasantries at public events you crashed. He handed back the ultrasound. This is either fake or it's someone else's baby. My money's on fake, given your track record. Serena collapsed to her knees, sobbing. But Adrian had already turned away, dismissing her existence entirely. That's when I felt it, a wave of dizziness so strong I had to grab Adrian's arm. His eyes widened, and he caught me before I fell. Get the doctor, he snapped at his assistant. Now. I tried to protest that I was fine, just stressed, but the world was spinning too fast. The doctor confirmed it an hour later. I was pregnant. 8 weeks along. I sat in stunned silence, trying to do the math. 8 weeks ago, I'd been married to Daniel. But we hadn't been intimate in months. He'd always had excuses, always been too tired. Because he'd been sleeping with Serena. Adrian stood absolutely still, processing the information. Then his expression shifted to something terrifying. The hotel room. When you were drugged. No, I whispered, understanding. You said you didn't. I didn't. But someone did. His voice was deadly quiet. Before I found you, someone else was there. The doctor cleared his throat. If you'd like, we can do a paternity test. Do it, Adrian said immediately. Test against both Daniel and me. I want confirmation. Outside the room, Serena's voice rang out. She'd somehow gotten past security. I heard everything. Elena's pregnant. She's been sleeping around and now she's trying to trap you. I buried my face in my hands, humiliation flooding through me. This nightmare just kept getting worse. Adrian exploded out of the medical room with controlled fury. He grabbed Serena by the arm, not roughly, but firmly enough to make her yelp. You're going to tell me exactly what happened that night, he said quietly. And if you lie to me even once, I'll make sure you never work, never marry, never have a peaceful moment for the rest of your life. I don't know what you're. He pulled out his phone, showing her something. Her face went pale. Those are phone records, Adrian said. Showing you called Daniel from outside the hotel room where Elena was drugged. Showing you coordinated timing. Showing you planned this together. No. You drugged her. Daniel was waiting in the room. But I arrived first and threw him out. Adrian's voice was ice. So tell me, Serena, what was the plan? Was he supposed to assault her while she was unconscious? Was he supposed to get her pregnant with his baby and make her think it was a stranger's? I thought I might vomit. The horror of what they'd planned crashed over me in waves. Serena was crying now, shaking. It wasn't supposed to go that far. We just wanted to make her look bad. To give Daniel grounds for divorce. We were going to. You were going to let him rape her, Adrian finished coldly. Daniel arrived within the hour, summoned by Adrian's people. He tried to act innocent, tried to play the concerned ex-husband. But Adrian had him cornered in seconds. You touched her, Adrian said. It wasn't a question. I would never, Daniel's voice was panicked. Serena, broken and desperate, whispered something I couldn't quite hear. But Adrian heard it. His face transformed into something terrifying, pure, focused rage barely contained beneath civilization. Check the cameras, he demanded, turning to his security team. The hotel cameras from that night. All angles. Find me every second of footage. I wanted to disappear. Wanted to not know what those cameras would show. But I also needed the truth, no matter how much it would hurt. Adrian sat beside me, taking my hand. Whatever we find, you're not alone. You'll never be alone again. It was the first time someone had promised me that, and I actually believed them. The footage arrived within 2 hours. Adrian's security team had pulled strings, called in favors, probably broken several laws to get it. But there it was, every angle of that horrible night. The video showed everything in brutal clarity. Serena drugging my drink at the bar earlier that evening. Serena helping me to a car. Serena calling someone repeatedly. Then the hotel hallway, Serena dragging my semi-conscious body into Adrian's room. And Daniel, waiting inside, already undressed. Then Adrian's arrival, earlier than expected. The confrontation I couldn't remember. Adrian physically throwing Daniel out, Adrian's face full of protective fury. Adrian staying with me all night, never touching me, just keeping watch. But there, in the corner of one frame, was something else. After Adrian had thrown Daniel out, Daniel had circled back. He'd waited until Adrian stepped out to make a phone call. He'd entered the room for exactly 4 minutes. 4 minutes where I was unconscious and defenseless. I felt my stomach turn. Adrian's hand squeezed mine so tight it almost hurt. He's done, Adrian said quietly. They're both done. Within an hour, Adrian had leaked the full unedited footage to every major news outlet, every social media platform, every gossip site. The video went viral in minutes, Daniel and Serena's planned assault on me exposed for the world to see. Daniel's life collapsed overnight. His employer terminated him immediately, assault allegations violated his contract. His family disowned him publicly. His friends scattered like rats from a sinking ship. But he tried one last time to salvage something. He showed up at Adrian's gates, falling to his knees in front of news cameras, begging me to take him back. I made a mistake, he sobbed. Serena manipulated me. I was confused. I still love you. Please, Lena, we can start over. I walked out to face him, Adrian a silent presence behind me. The cameras captured everything. You drugged me, I said calmly. You planned to assault me while I was unconscious. You framed me for cheating. You stole my home, my dignity, my peace. And now you want me back because your life is ruined? I never meant. You meant every bit of it, I interrupted. The only thing you didn't mean was getting caught. Adrian stepped forward then, physically placing himself between me and Daniel. If you come near her again, I'll destroy what's left of you. And trust me, there's always more to destroy. Daniel looked at me one more time, saw only cold indifference, and finally understood. He'd lost. Completely, irrevocably, permanently. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No triumph. Just the quiet relief of watching a chapter close. To protect me from Serena's family, who were threatening lawsuits and media campaigns, Adrian made an announcement. We were engaged. The news exploded across every platform. Billionaire Adrian Wolf engaged to sister of scandal, read the headlines. Serena had a complete public meltdown, screaming at reporters that I was a homewrecker, that I'd stolen her man, that I'd ruined everything. Daniel tried to sabotage us by leaking twisted versions of events to tabloids. But every story was immediately contradicted by the video evidence Adrian had already released. Adrian never let me out of his sight. He was there when I woke up, there when I fell asleep, a constant protective presence that should have felt suffocating but somehow felt safe. You don't have to actually marry me, I told him one night. I know this is just for protection. He looked at me with those intense dark eyes. Who said it's just for protection? We barely know each other. I've known you for 3 years, he corrected. I've watched you from afar, learned your habits, studied everything about you. I know you drink chamomile tea before bed. I know you bite your lip when you're nervous. I know you deserve so much better than what life has given you. That's borderline stalking. Yes, he agreed without shame. It probably is. But I'd rather be your stalker than let you face this world alone. The real test came when Adrian's grandfather arrived from overseas. Harrison Wolf was a legend in business circles, ruthless, traditional, unforgiving. He stormed into Adrian's mansion like he owned it, which technically he did. You're engaged to her? Harrison demanded, gesturing at me like I was trash. A girl with a scandal attached? A girl whose sister claims you ruined her life. You'll destroy the Wolf family reputation. Adrian stood between us immediately. Say another word about her and I walk away from the family business forever. I'll take my shares, my assets, everything I built, and I'll start my own empire. Test me. Harrison's eyes narrowed. You'd give up everything for this girl? Without hesitation, Adrian replied. In fact, I've already prepared the paperwork. One more word against Elena and I'm gone. The room fell completely silent. Even Harrison's bodyguards looked uncomfortable. Because everyone knew Adrian didn't make empty threats. She must be something special, Harrison finally said, studying me with new interest. She is, Adrian confirmed. And you'll treat her with the respect she deserves, or you'll lose me forever. I'd never had anyone defend me like that. Never had someone willing to sacrifice everything to protect me. The feeling was overwhelming. Serena's final attack was spectacular in its desperation. She staged an elaborate scene at a public event. Threw herself down a marble staircase in front of cameras and witnesses, screaming that I'd pushed her, that I'd murdered her babies, the fake pregnancy she'd claimed. My own father, who'd been absent for most of my life, chose that moment to appear. He believed Serena immediately, demanding I confess to assault. Adrian remained calm, almost amused. Check the security cameras. We don't need cameras, my father shouted. I know my daughters. Serena wouldn't lie about something like this. She's lied about everything else, Adrian replied mildly. But sure, let's indulge her performance. The security footage showed exactly what everyone with a brain already knew, Serena checking the cameras, calculating angles, then deliberately throwing herself down the stairs while I was nowhere nearby. She'd gambled that people would believe her without checking. She'd lost. My father stood frozen, watching his golden child exposed as a fraud. He tried to apologize to me, but the words felt hollow. Too little, too late. The final confrontation came at a family dinner Adrian's grandfather insisted on hosting. Serena and my father were there, attempting some kind of reconciliation. Adrian's grandfather ordered me to apologize to Serena for causing family discord. I refused. "You're being unreasonable," Harrison said coldly. "Family unity requires compromise." "Family unity requires honesty," I interrupted. "Something Serena wouldn't recognize." Harrison's face darkened. "You'll apologize, or you'll leave this family." Adrian's grandfather ordered guards to physically restrain me, to force me to kneel before Serena. The guards actually moved toward me. Then Adrian arrived. I hadn't even known he'd left the room, but he walked back in like a storm made flesh, and every person there felt the shift in power. "If anyone touches her," Adrian said quietly, "you lose me forever. Not just as family. Not just as business. I'll become your enemy, and I'll dedicate every resource I have to destroying everything you built." The guards froze. Harrison's face went pale. Because everyone in that room knew Adrian had the resources and ruthlessness to follow through. "She's mine," Adrian said simply. "And I protect what's mine." The paternity test results arrived the next day. Adrian gathered everyone, his grandfather, my father, Serena, Daniel, lawyers, and witnesses, to reveal them publicly. "The father of Elena's child," the doctor announced, "is Adrian Wolfe." The room exploded. Serena screamed that it was impossible, that I'd tricked him, that the test was falsified. My father looked devastated. Daniel just sat there, finally understanding that he'd lost me long before Serena had entered the picture. "The conception date," the doctor continued, "corresponds to the night Elena was drugged. The night Mr. Wolfe spent protecting her." I turned to Adrian, confused. He looked equally shocked. "I swear I never." The doctor held up a hand. "The test also revealed something else. Mrs. Elena's blood work from that night shows evidence of a fertility drug, not just a sedative. Someone wanted to ensure pregnancy would occur." Serena's face answered every question. "She'd drugged me with something to make me more fertile, planning for Daniel to assault me and create a pregnancy that would destroy my life completely. But Adrian had interfered. Had protected me. And somehow, impossibly, the brief moments we'd shared, his arms around me while I was barely conscious, keeping me warm, keeping me safe, had resulted in this miracle." Adrian's legal team released everything to the public. Every crime, every scheme, every moment of Serena and Daniel's conspiracy. Attempted assault. Drugging. Fraud. False accusations. Serena was arrested. Formal charges were filed. Her engagement had long since collapsed. Daniel's reputation was so destroyed that even Serena's family didn't want him anymore. My father tried to defend her one last time. "She made mistakes, but she's still my daughter." "No," I said firmly. "She stopped being your daughter when she tried to destroy your other daughter. Choose." He couldn't. So Adrian chose for him, having my father escorted from the property with instructions never to contact me again. As security dragged Serena out, she spat at me one last time. "You win, Elena. Are you happy now?" I thought about her question. Watched her being led away in handcuffs. Saw Daniel sitting alone in a corner, abandoned by everyone who'd once supported him. Saw my father walking away, too proud to admit he'd chosen wrong. "No," I said honestly. "I'm not happy. But I'm free. And that's better." Adrian's hand found mine. Squeezed gently. "Let's go home." Home. With him. The thought didn't scare me anymore. 3 months later, Adrian and I stood in a private chapel, speaking vows in front of only the people who truly mattered. His grandfather, now supportive after everything that had happened. My mother's old friends, who'd watched over me from afar. Adrian's assistant, who'd helped expose Serena's crimes. No photographers. No media. No spectacle. Just two people who'd found each other through darkness and decided to walk toward light together. "I'm not your revenge," Adrian whispered as he slid the ring onto my finger. "I'm your new beginning." "And you're not my savior," I replied, sliding his ring on. "You're my partner. There's a difference." He smiled, genuine and warm. "I've waited so long for this moment." "Worth the wait?" "Every second." When he kissed me, I felt something I'd never felt in my marriage to Daniel. Safety. Respect. Genuine love that didn't require me to be smaller or quieter or less than I was. The baby kicked, our unexpected miracle, and Adrian's hand immediately moved to my stomach, his expression filled with wonder. I thought about everything I'd survived. Everything I'd lost. Everything I'd gained. The sister who'd betrayed me was facing years in prison. The husband who'd tried to destroy me was a social pariah. The father who'd chosen wrong had lost both his daughters. But I had Adrian. Had this baby. Had a future that was mine to write. As we walked out of the chapel together, I whispered, "Thank you." For what? For burning their world down so I could build my own. He kissed my forehead. Anytime. That's what love does, it protects. It avenges. It rebuilds. And somewhere in that moment, surrounded by the ashes of my old life and the promise of my new one, I finally understood what it meant to be truly chosen. Not as a placeholder. Not as a convenience. But as someone's entire world. And that was everything.